Good evening, everyone. I think this is a good place for us to start. Welcome once again. Welcome to the Numeric Engagement panel discussion. And our topic for discussion this evening is technology and elections in West Africa and how we can leverage technology as a force for good in our elections. Just to be sure, can everyone hear me? Maybe just give me an indication that you can hear me. So that I am not speaking to myself.
Yes, we can. Well,
Okay. 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 Awesome.
Yes, we can.
Okay. Thank you so much. Thank you so much. So welcome. I'm really glad. I'm happy to have you all here. So I'll be moderating this discussion with two of my very good friends and colleagues, in the presence of Mr. Kadri Abdul Rauf and Miss Aizigode Obiya. Aizi, please pardon me if I've murdered your name, the way I pronounced it. So they would be my co-moderators this evening as we take you on this journey. And the subject before us really is a timely one, especially when we think about elections coming in 2023. So we're really here to rub minds together and to hear from seasoned speakers about what technology can do. We know that in advanced democracies like America, for example, technology has really helped in making their elections free and fair. And please mute your microphone if you just come in. So I believe that to an extent we can have the same. We can leverage technology. So we're here to see how we can, what we can and what we cannot do. And to help us on this discussion, we have four very seasoned speakers. We have Ms. Ifoma Okeke, who is the CEO of DUSA International Limited. DUSA International Limited is a food export company. She's also the CEO of, Ifoma, please pardon me, I'm trying to pronounce this properly, Amoni Resort Nigeria Limited, which is an event planning company. And she also is the trustee of Rich Foundation, and they have dealt with giving palliatives and food during the COVID-19. So that's our first speaker from Nigeria. We have Ms. Juliet Amoha. Please, Juliet, pardon me. I tried to practice pronouncing your surname. Can you, I hope I did not bastardize it too much.
Call it Amwa. It's a very short
Amoha.
syllable. That's fine. It's
okay. Now, Juliet is doing something that I like very much. She actually has an NGO called Pen Plus Bytes. And so what Pen Plus Bytes does is to use technology to enhance civic participation and governance. And so that's why I'm really happy to have her here, because she's just the right person who can give us the perspective of what she's doing with her civil society organization, what lessons we can learn. So she's based in Ghana, and her NGO is also based in Ghana, and they work in the governance space with technology in Ghana. Sorry, could you please mute your mic when you come in? Okay, and our next speaker from Nigeria is Mr. Olu Oyeniji. Mr. Olu Oyeniji is a legal practitioner. He's called to the Nigerian bar. He's also admitted to the English bar. He's the managing partner of Trust Chronicles Legal Practice. And for those of us who are keep up with who's unmuted. Please mute your microphones when you come in. Okay, thank you very much. So Mr. Olu was a former gubernatorial candidate for Lagos State. He ran, and he would share his experience as well and how he thinks technology can help aspirants, future aspirants. And then we have Mr. Al Hassan Mohammed Sharif from Ghana, who's a governance analyst, and surprisingly also works, not surprisingly, sorry, but interestingly also works in the electoral body in Ghana. Although, of course, he doesn't come in that official capacity, but he can shed some light on the legal position as it is in Ghana. So let me stop talking and let's just get right into it. So I want to welcome our speakers and I want to thank you all so much for availing your time, for agreeing to avail your expertise and doing this as community service really. So thank you very much for being here. So we'll start with Mr. Olu. As a legal practitioner, perhaps maybe you can just briefly tell us if in our legal framework in Nigeria, we are using technology as yet in the electoral space. And if we do, what aspects of technology do we have in our electoral legal framework? Mr. Olu, are you there?
Forgive me for a moment. I kept my microphone muted. All right. So thank you, dear colleagues. Thank you for having me. Thank you from Ghana. Thank you, Ms. Juliet Amoa. I know I can do better at pronouncing your name, so you can thank me later. And other distinguished colleagues. Okay. All right, Madam Ifezo, you don't need to respond to that.
No,
All
no,
right.
I would not.
So let's go straight into it. Okay. All right. Talking about a brief background of the legal framework that we have for the adoption of technology for electioneering, we would have to look at the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. We would have to look at the Electoral Bill, not the Electoral Act. The Electoral Act was promulgated in 2010, but we now have a bill that has been passed by the Senate that is still being considered by the Federal House of Representatives and waiting for the assent of the president. So I agree totally with Ms. God's Glory to say that there's a topical discussion. In recent times, in the last few weeks, especially since the month of April till this morning, several stakeholders have been discussing this issue up to this morning. The Senate spokesman has released statements regarding adoption of technology, and there's so much going on right now. So we're going to look at the electoral bill, which is waiting to be passed. And until it is passed, we will just consider components of the amendments that are included in there as the base for discussing the Electoral Act of 2020. Then finally, the Independent National Electoral Commission also issues guidelines from time to time pursuant to organizing elections, and the Constitution gives it those powers, okay, to be able to come up with guidelines by which electioneering will be conducted from time to time, okay. So those are enormous powers in there that allows the guidelines to seem like a force of law in themselves, even though the INEC has ample discretion as to how it will carry out elections. And that's something we probably want to discuss later because this supposed independence may be unchecked, all right, and it may be prone to abuse at some point, all right. Now, so I also trace the history of the adoption of technology for electioneering in Nigeria. And in the last general elections, the best we've had has been the deployment of card readers. Okay, so now what card readers do is that they are able to capture biometric details of a voter, and then that is checked to accreditate a voter. So that's the best that card readers do. They just certify that this voter is the one with this electoral, with the permanent voters card, PVC, and then you clear off with that, and then it's backed by the use of ballot papers. So you see, that's the limit that the use of technology is actually. Now, what has been a major bone of contention in the last few years, and many people have written about this, I mean, that would be interesting to know, is the transmission of results. That has been the major bone of contention. And everybody seems to concentrate more on that than the actual adoption of technology throughout the process. So there's a process of accreditation, and then there's the process of voting itself without the use of ballot paper, and then the transmission of results. We have never voted in Nigeria without the use of ballot papers. So the deployment of technology is limited to accreditation of voters, and the questions raised on even the transmission of results via technology means, instead of carrying bundles of papers to say these are the results of an election. So that's the legal framework. Remember, I talked about the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999. Spoke about the electoral bill, which has been considered for amendment. And then I also talked about the guidelines issued pursuant to the powers of INEC under the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria. And I also spoke about the deployment of card readers alone, which Nigeria has done a few times and has been adopted in places like Zimbabwe, Kenya. I've spoken about those elections before. And the question of transmission of results has been the major boon of contention. As of today, the electoral bill waiting to be assented to by the president says that INEC may exercise a discretion to use technology and then to transmit results by electronic means. Of course, that comes with some of its problems. I will try to do a recap again because I see that we're just recording for the benefit of those who didn't hear me.
Yes,
all right. So
please,
I was saying that the legal framework for deployment of technology for elections in Nigeria is basically the Constitution of the Federal Republic of Nigeria, 1999, that gives ample powers to INEC, establishes INEC, and tries to confirm its independence. And then the electoral bill, which is premised on the Electoral Act of 2010, that's currently undergoing amendments. It's been passed by the Senate that gives INEC discretion in conjunction with the Nigerian Communications Commission to deploy technology at within any leg of the electioneering, okay? And then finally, INEC also has pursuant to that constitution for a discretionary measure of drafting guidelines by which elections will be conducted. Okay, those are the 3 exemplars that are in place right now. And I've said also that the best that Nigeria has done, or the limit to which Nigeria has done with deploying technology for electioneering, is the deployment of card readers to accreditate voters. We have not used electronic means to vote. We have used it for accreditation, for identification purposes, but we've not deployed for voting itself. And then we've tried to also transmit results before. All of these have their own challenges as of this time. And then the transmission of results, has been the bone of contention since the last election, since 2014 till this morning. All right. The members of the legislature, they seem there's a disarray, okay, and there's conflict within them to say, should we allow any device to be deployed for election? Should we limit ourselves to just card readers, or should we allow for transmission of results by electronic means? And some of the arguments for that are, would we have network, okay, internet service all over the country for the effective deployment of this or not? Would Nigerian Communications Commission have to certify that we can deploy because we have network service all over the federation? So that's the basis by which we can start considering the deployment of technology for electioneering in Nigeria. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Olu, for that extensive explanation. I think it's very clear, and it also shows where we need to work. And so let me go to Ghana now. Mr. Sharif, perhaps you can let us know what the position in Ghana is. Is Ghana using technology? Is that in the legal framework of Ghana as yet? What's happening in Ghana? Please just let us know. Mr. Sharif, are you with us? Let me just confirm.
Okay.
Yes.
Good evening.
Good evening.
It appears that at present Sharif is not with us, but I'm going to contact him to get him to join us shortly. So just give me a GP. So, I'll get him to join us briefly.
No problem. We can just go on while he joins. That's not a problem.
Okay, that's okay.
Okay, thank you. Okay. We'll go to the next question. And next question I want us to look at, I think, is to look at our readiness really as West Africa. Are we ready for technology in our elections, considering the challenges that we actually face? We have power issues, we have network issues, and this is It's not just peculiar to West Africa, it's peculiar to, well, actually maybe more West Africa, because I can tell you that, for example, I lived in Botswana for some time, and in the whole years I lived in Botswana, I think the power outage only happened twice, and I lived there for some time. So the power outage is not very common to all the African countries. But let's just limit it to West Africa for now, Nigeria and Ghana. Do you think that we're ready for technology? Can we really adopt technology without fixing everything? So let me hear first from Ms. Ifoma. Can you let us know what your views are? Do you think we're ready? And why would you say we're ready for technology in our electoral states?
Good evening, everyone.
Good evening.
Good evening, dear colleagues, and good evening to our viewers. Thank you very much for this platform. The question about whether or not we're ready, it's not a yes or no direct answer. So I would actually give you this little bit of a background. And today I would speak as a citizen of Nigeria, Federal Republic of Nigeria as well. So I would say technically yes, but we all know that election is not only based on technology or how our capacity or our ability to actually handle those areas. There's a very serious issue with trust. When my colleague was speaking, he spoke very clearly of those problems. People actually believing that they could just leave their fate to this technical section. So as a nation, as a country, are we really ready to move on? Is a trust issue. So I would say technically yes, but political maturity, I don't think we are ready, because everyone just sort of believes that somebody somewhere is going to tamper with something somewhere. So I would actually say, is it possible that as Nigerians, we can do our elections? For example, Anambra State is coming up. Can we as people from Anambra say that any election that will be done there, so long as was done, voters voted, the people vying for the votes are all from Anambra State, so long as they are from that state, then can we trust that they will do what is best for the state? The same way it goes for Nigeria. Irrespective of where the person comes from, we are first Nigerians. So yes, we are technically ready, or no, we have trust issues. That's my own opinion. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. So we have trust issues, and those trust issues may limit the efficacy of using technology in Nigeria. Thank you very much for that view, Foma. How about you, Ms. Juliet? What do you think? Do you think Ghana is ready? Do you think Nigeria is ready for technology in elections?
Well, thank you very much, and thanks for having me. I think I hear what Ifeoma and Olu are about that we have with electricity and power and all of that. But for me, I actually think that it all depends on what we're calling technologies in elections, because if you look at it, tech can actually include older and familiar things like the printing press, electronic calculators, the basic office automation tools that we used to use, word processing, spreadsheets, and all of these are still used in elections in different parts of the world. But we can also be thinking about newer and more sophisticated technologies like, the geographic information systems, data processing tools, database management systems. We can be optical scanners, even the card readers that Olu was talking about earlier on, digital mapping. All of these are technologies that are used in an election. For me, the truth is that in the modern world, given the large-scale elections that we're doing, and it will be considerably challenging for any country to be able to do this without access to some form of technology. And so, you know, I mean, without tech, you're not able to compile voters lists. You cannot draw electoral boundaries. You can't print ballot papers. You can't publish the elections. And I can tell you that if that happens, it will be very, very difficult to convince most people that any elections that are held without technology are fair or transparent. So in my view, yes, Ghana and Nigeria are ready, and we have indeed been using affordable technology in our elections for a while now. The two countries have come very far. We've moved from introducing tech-based voter registration, even as you are doing in Nigeria now, to biometric verification machines. We're even attempting, in some instances, to do some e-voting. And all of these are checks that we have actually introduced across the election cycle or the election cycle. In 2020, for example, in Ghana, we introduced the panel, sorry, I never get it right. It's the PANA BIOS. It's the PANA BIOS tech platform, and it allowed voters to book registration appointments online through a common USSD platform, what we usually call a short code. And this allowed the management of crowds at the polling stations and helped reduce the spread of the coronavirus. And that platform just allowed voters to book slots in a queue at their own convenience. And this happened both during the registration for the elections itself, and then it was also used on voting day. So that all the voter needed to do to secure a spot in the queue digitally was to dial the short code, select the polling station, enter their registration code, and that's all. And then once this was submitted, the applicant received an SMS with details of their place in the priority queue. And so for me, this in itself is progress, given that during the whole of 2020, there were different countries canceling the elections left, right, and center. So yes, we do have considerable and significant challenges with electricity and the things that power technology. In terms of our willingness and the capacity that we have as countries to introduce tech, I think we're doing a great job.
Wow, wow. I'm actually blown away by what you said about you have short codes that you use in Ghana. I don't think we've come that far in Nigeria, but Nigerian speakers can correct me. So Ghana seems to be doing very well. Let me not sound too depressed about Nigeria. Nigeria is doing great. We will get there. We just keep carrying hope and we'll get there. Thank you very much for that very insightful answer, Juliet. Let me go to Mr. Miyiniji. What do you think about this whole question of technology and whether we're ready in Nigeria?
Oh, so in a way, I'm going to start from where Ifeoma left off, and that is that I believe that we've got to have the will. Okay, so while she's talking about trust, I would complement that with, do we have the will? Because in the last elections held in Edo State, Edo gubernatorial elections, this time last year, and also in the recent by-elections conducted in Kaduna State, we deployed technology again. Okay, so we were able to accredit voters, okay, using those machines. And in fact, Kaduna went a step further. Okay, the Kaduna State Independent Electoral Commission, okay, went a step further by actually using it to take verification a step further, verification of voters, they called it. And INEC came out to say that it would again deploy it even to greater extent in the Anambra elections coming up in a few weeks. So the question is, for all that we have done, and my colleague, Ms. Amoa, has shed some light on it, okay? So there are different aspects of the electioneering process that uses technology, okay? There's a part of verification, there's a part of accreditation, or whatever it is called, okay? In fact, the INEC chairman came out after the Kaduna elections to say that we won't even have power issues, that the batteries, that none of the card readers devices went off for 8 hours or more. So that answers the question about power, okay? So we don't have any problems with power. We've got devices that have good batteries to be able to last longer. But I was doing an analysis on elections. I can't remember if it was Zimbabwe or Kenya a few months ago, and the place where they kept their card readers got burnt. Okay, so asking or something. And we were asking at the time, I can't remember clearly now. I think it was Zimbabwe. And the question was, should the elections go on when a major warehouse where they stored card readers was bombed down? Okay. And then we said this was a few days to elections. And we said the elections would have to go on. Because when you find issues like that, it means that there is sabotage for the elections. And this is where Ifeoma is spot on regarding whether we trust ourselves to be able to deploy technology, or whether we believe that we have the political will to go ahead and deploy technology. So regarding the question of the legal framework, we've got the laws that support the deployment of technology, even greater than just saying using card reader. As a matter of fact, there are other components of that may come in, and I anticipate that you're going to ask questions relating to that. Now, USSD is being used to also identify, okay, when you want to register to vote. As Mr. Samuel stated, we are now able to also register online, register for permanent voters card. We're able to do that on the platform of the INEC. Okay, so it is to bring all of these things together. Every Nigerian that owns a bank account has something we call the BVN, okay? And we also have the NIN. Now, if you incorporate all of this together, you have several means of identification by which we may even vote. E-voting is nothing complex. And we should not lose sight of the fact that it can be complementary at the teething stages. Okay, so the United States of America, you can vote by post, you can vote electronically, and you can visit the polling centers to cast your vote. So if we start from all of this being complements, then we'll be able to take care of the needs of everyone, including those who we may think do not have access. So where you think that people do not have the internet network of the broadband to be able to vote, then we must be ready to go the traditional manual method. Where you think that people are distant, they have access to technology, but they cannot be reached physically, you deploy electronic means. And we have the laws to back all of that up. So in conclusion, I think that we're always ready to do the right thing. It's never too early, too late, or too late to do the right thing is what I think. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Mr. Olu. Mr. Sheriff, welcome. Thank you so much for being here. And we apologize that you had some days to come and join in early. So I think this is a good point to have you jump in and maybe just give us the legal framework in Ghana currently in terms of, I think Juliet already pointed out what you're doing in the Ghanaian space with technology. So you're using USSD at the different electioneering stages. Ghana is already using technology just like Nigeria. So perhaps to point out what your views on whether we are ready to use technology is, and what you think we're not ready, or what we should be taking into account. Hello, Mr. Sheriff, are you there? Okay, I don't know if Mr. Sharif is still having challenges.
Hi, okay. I think that you have to suggest to him to unmute himself. Maybe he hasn't unmuted himself.
Okay.
So suggest me to unmute himself.
Okay, Mr. Sharif, are you able to unmute yourself, please? Let me see if I can find you. I think he's dropped off.
I think, yes, we've lost him.
I think we've
lost him. Yeah.
Okay, we'll just go ahead then. And
okay.
so the next thing I'd like us to look at is this. We know currently in Nigeria we're doing our CVR, continuous voter registration, and what INEC has done is to move to an online platform, which is actually very applaudable. They are moving with the times to make it easier, and I think the idea behind the online platform is to cater for the COVID-19 situation, for example, so that we don't have a lot of people at the INEC office trying to be assisted and getting their permanent voter card. So they've started the online registration for the continuous voter registration, we started in June this year. But the challenge with the online platform, and it's not really a challenge, okay, well, there's a challenge with the user friendliness of the platform. But the other bigger issue is that there are people at the grassroots who don't have smartphones, people who don't have or who are not internet savvy and who may not be able to use go online and register themselves. So for example, this week I had gone to the INEC office in Abuja to do my biometric capturing. And some gentlemen walked in and the INEC officer asked them, have you registered online? And they said, what's that? You can register online. It's like, yeah, you should go and do it. Look at this lady. She just came for her appointment. All the guy did was to bring out his phone and say, look at my phone now. How can I do it? Like, so does it mean like if I have this phone, I can't be able to register? And the gentleman had to assist him. So how do we deal with this? Because a lot of people at the grassroots have the same problem. What kind of technological solution can we offer to ensure that these people are captured during this continuous voter registration? So because this is a question peculiar to the ongoing CVR in Nigeria, I will start with Olu. What do you think we can do, Olu?
So I think that we are talking about diversity and equity, if you ask me, and inclusion, okay? And while preparing for this forum, I actually realized that even those with physical disabilities are considered for electioneering process in Nigeria, although the process is skewed, and I'll explain to you. So if there's anybody who's got challenges of sight, they come with somebody else who helps them to vote in the place where they want to vote. And I think that is transferring a personal right to somebody else because they have no way of verifying. Exactly. So what we should be talking about is if we are going to include people who have the problem of mobility or access, now we should be thinking about technology that meets them in the area where they require that support. Okay, so I would have thought that for those who've got issues with their sight, we should be talking about Braille. How can we use Braille? Or how can we use technology that will speak into their ears? I've seen them before. Those who have sight issues are able to type text messages. They're on social media. They use Twitter. I've seen it work. They just type and they get a voice assistant. Okay, this is why we have to determine the kind of technology that will guarantee diversity, inclusion, and equity. Because if we are catering for only one aspect, which is what Ms. Amua said, are we thinking only of using spreadsheets? Is that the limit we want to deploy technology? Are we going to stay at the base of just accreditation exercise? Are we thinking of actually placing every Nigerian citizen on an equitable platform to be able to vote, okay? And to do so independently, exercising their right. So I believe sincerely that we should start thinking of USSD. Nigeria is doing fabulously well. If I don't know if we are not even topping East Africa at this time and the deployment of fintech. And like I stated earlier, we can bring every means of identification together on one portal, all right, on one data governance portal to be able to vote, okay? So this thing we even call a PVC. A PVC. What difference is it from the BVN that we have, which is digits, okay? At the bank, you put your residential address there. They could even require proof of your residence to be able to open bank accounts. So, and then it's permit me to use the word, will necessarily almost segue back to what Ifeoma is saying. Do we trust ourselves to be able to say that these, whether we use USSD, we use BVN, or we have equitable platforms for those with disabilities, whether we trust ourselves to make this work? Those who are now, so, and again, remember that I talked about all of this being complements. I'm not going to say that one size fits all. I think it would be most unreasonable to say one size fits all. We have to be able to meet each Nigerian and their peculiar place, right? There are people who are living in IDP camps. How do we, are they captured? There's quite a number of them. And we in the midst of insecurity crisis and parts of the country doesn't, and it's become a major problem. Okay, in the southeast Nigeria and the northwest Nigeria, we've got skirmishes all over. Would we say we are not going to hold elections there? But there could be means of violence if we could vote from the corners of our rooms, okay, without any threat of violence. We don't even have to come out. So whether it be USSD for areas that don't have internet, e-vote, full-blown e-voting for places like Lagos State that has fantastic internet deployment programs by government and private sector. As such other areas, there's something that best fits each part of the country is what I think. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much. Okay, so we are running a little out of time, so maybe let's just try and keep our responses a little shorter so that we can take all the questions and also have people ask questions.
Okay.
Mr. Mar, yes, I see Mr. Mar's hand is up. We're going to take the questions at the end. So please just hold on to the question. If you think you forget it, type it in the chat box, and then we'll still give you a chance to speak, but to ensure that we keep to time, we'll take the questions at the very end, if that's okay.
Yeah. Okay.
Yes.
Yeah, it appears that Mr. Sharif is online. So if you could take his thoughts on that, on the first question you posed.
Sorry?
Mr. Sharif is now online. So if you could take his thoughts on the first question you asked.
Okay, that's fine. Let me conclude with Ms. Ifeoma, and then I'll just go back to him.
Okay,
so that we can finish that question. So Ms. Ifeoma, maybe in a few words, what's your views on this issue of people at the grassroots as regards the CBR, the online CBR, not having access to smartphones? What can we do about it?
Thank you once again. So I'll just start off from where Olu left off. He's done a whole lot of work explaining the very top of it. Going down to the grassroots, what I know at the moment is that INEC have started deploying their staff down to different local governments with their tablets to try and capture the ones that are down there without smartphones, the ones that are down there that they don't have money to buy the data to even make use of their smartphones. I equally am aware that parties have now taken it upon themselves to get in partnership with INEC to sort of say there's a, what's it called? There's a center, an internet center where this person can actually capture people. So what they do is that they set up a place, for example, in a local government, and they say, this is a business center. If you come and take a look at it, you can actually sign off on it and people can come here. We are willing to pay for people to be captured here. And then of course you take your data and go do your formal registration in your office, in the comfort of your place. This is done for those who can, like Olu said, those who can work, or those who don't have credit, or those who don't even have the smartphone in the first place. So that's, for me, that's a very great opportunity for them at the grassroots, and it's equally a great job being done by INEC to say that we will come to you. It's an online, we recognize that you have disabilities in terms of money or the smartphone, so we'll come to you. So they're doing that now. I'm aware that they will start, for example, in Rivers State, they would probably be here from tomorrow to register people with their tablets. And as well, the parties are doing their best to see that party followers that want to register or join them equally, they have their cards so that when the opportunity presents itself, they're able to vote. Thank you.
Okay, thank you very much, Ifoma, for that answer. So let me go, Mr. Sheriff, can you please just confirm your presence? Can you unmute and just let us know that you're now online?
Okay, it appears that his network is giving him trouble.
Hey, Ghana, so Ghana has the same network issues that we have.
Well, I was trying to speak with him, but it appears that he's actually in the field. So the parts of the country that he is, I think that the network there is not as strong as that. So let's pardon him for now. And he said he's trying to position himself. So let's pray that we get him.
All right, permit me to say something. That means it's not only at Jollof Rice that we are better at Ghana.
I am on.
That's a nice one.
But we are better on sports than you. Football.
That's a nice one.
Well, okay, I think okay.
He's on.
Oh, okay. Mr. Sheriff, welcome.
Yeah, thank you.
So can you then just give us your perspective on the topic that we're talking about? I know you've come in late, but maybe just tell us what the position in Ghana is and what your take is on using technology in Ghana and Nigeria in elections.
Okay. Thank you very much, and sorry for.
Next network. I think his network has also frozen again.
Yeah. His network, he's in the field, so he's really having problems. I'm sympathizing with him.
It's actually, I'm touched with his commitment as well. Okay, so I think, Kadri, this is a good point to hand over to you to continue with the question while we wait for Mr. Sheriff to come back online.
All right. So let me get this. So good evening to all our friends who have actually come to join us. Most notably, let me say a very good evening to the discussants, the panelists. We thank them so very much for, spending their time with us to help unpack some of these issues that we are currently discussing. So basically, my question was firstly to go to Mr. Sharif, but unfortunately, it appears that his network is not helping him. So I may have to redirect the question to, I think I would redirect it to Mrs. Juliet. So basically, what I want you to help share with us has to do with how, and I think that in your initial remarks, you had already touched on it in a very substantial way. But it's just actually still on this question of the technology, how we could, harness technology for the purposes of election. And I'm aware that your organization does so well in this regard. So if there are other things that you want to see, in addition to what you had said earlier, we will very much welcome it at this point. Ms. Juliet.
So, I'm not sure what you'd like us to look at, but perhaps we can look at just what sort of other technologies that can be brought on board in terms of making sure that we have great electoral results. The main thing that people ask or people are interested in is e-voting. And I know that lots of people are always asking, how can we do what other climates are doing in terms of doing voting online? But I think that the main thing is, when you look at e-voting, there are so many problems with it, and you know that Ifeoma was talking about that earlier on. It's not just about the trust issues, it's also about what we're facing today, which is the cybersecurity issues. So yes, we can actually bring on board e-voting, we can introduce that. We can say, look, people don't have to come to a polling station. They can sit in the comfort of their homes and vote electronically. But that's beset with a lot of problems. I know that apart from let's say a few places, a few states in America, most of the world, if you look at UK, just across the river, across the seas to the UK, they don't do e-voting at all. They're still using pen and paper. The electoral person has to go wait patiently in their raincoat, get into a space, draw the line through a spreadsheet, they vote, and then the vote is counted, sometimes with the use of electronic devices, sometimes without, depending on the borough in which they're voting. So a lot of the things that we're doing in Africa, for example, are actually a little bit more advanced. And so I still want to hammer on the fact that in Africa, whether it's because of the Bretton Woods institutions who help fund some of our elections, whether it's the fact that we get bullied by our big brothers across the world to make the election free and fair or whatever. I think that when it comes to it, we have invested a lot more in technology than even the so-called developed countries. And I think that we're even doing more. Pundits will tell you that Africa is in the process of coordinating a generation jump when it actually comes to introducing tech into elections. And the African Union has been very good with this. In the last 2 or 3 election cycles in Africa, across Africa, and when I say 2 or 3 election cycles, usually if you look at the way that elections are deployed across Africa, it's usually a 3 to 4 year gap. Ghana might do 2020, Nigeria will do 2021, somebody will do 2022, but within a 4-year cycle, everyone across the 56 African countries would have voted. And so the AU has done quite a good job of making sure that we have some kind of, what's it called? Some kind of uniformity in this. So though we bash the African Union a lot, we can thank them for some of what is happening in voting and e-voting and introducing technology into the electoral systems. They've set certain standards that all member countries are trying to follow. What we now need to do, or we now need the African Union to help us do, is to devise what I would call a standard set of requirements and attributes for things like electronic voting, or for even the kind of technologies that countries are introducing, whether it's the BVMs that have been mentioned, is the EVM, electronic voter machines, whether it's the card readers. All of those are things that I think the African Union can go a step further to put some kind of protocols in place. And I think that it's no longer enough for them to have a protocol that says that paper votes, for example, have to be put in clear plastic ballot boxes. And so if we're going to go full digital, then there needs to be some kind of protocols that look at even how algorithmic adjustments can be inserted into election technology to preserve the integrity of numbers of the votes cast and the ballots counted, etc. So I suppose what I'm saying is that in order for us to use technology, including e-voting, including all the kind of technology that we've introduced into the electoral cycle, there needs to be some protocols that are standardized across the different sovereign countries so that we can all deal effectively with unforeseen risks, such as increases in vote selling, which continue to be a problem, difficulty in auditing election results, which also continue to be a problem, and deliver very much unrest. That there's a lot of unrest after each election. Everyone is sitting on tenterhooks waiting for the election results. And so I think that, yes, technology brings us unsurmountable challenges, but we need to diminish the fear of trust issues, cybersecurity, and all of those things. And we need to actually think through what we can do to start delivering free, fair, and credible elections for the citizens of West Africa.
Thank you very much, Mrs. Juliet. Whilst you were making your submission, something just crossed my mind, and I wanted to follow up on that a bit. So, for example, given the somewhat energy stability in Ghana, comparatively, if you compare Ghana and that of Nigeria, it is actually a fact that Nigeria has much more reliable and stable, and Ghana has much more reliable and stable electricity than Nigeria. So I was thinking that given the stability of our energy vis-a-vis that of Nigeria, the conversation is not very much built or centered around electronic voting in Ghana at the moment. I wanted to know if you could share thoughts with us. What accounts for that? Because the conversation is not actually built around electronic voting in Ghana. What's the issue? If you could share it with us, please.
I mean, in 2008 elections, Ghana was big in the global news. You know, yes, we were going to do some kind of e-voting. We were going to do even diaspora voting, get all the people who, I think we have more than 2 million Ghanaians who live in the diaspora. So all of those conversations came up in 2008, and we were held as the poster child for great elections in the sub-region. But did any of that happen? No, we couldn't pull it off. And there's good enough reason for that. I mean, e-voting, diaspora voting, all of those are rife with difficulties. And Ifeoma's issue around trust keeps coming up. Yes, and even Olu was mentioning, I think, the political will, because people don't have, so the legal framework exists in Ghana for us to go ahead and do e-voting, for us to go ahead and do diaspora voting and give votes to people by proxy and all of those sorts of things. But the fact is that, look, there's just too much at stake. We've got the cybersecurity issues now. We've got the fake news issues. We've got people sitting in Slovenia and whatnot, manufacturing and tampering with the algorithms that would help anyone on an electoral platform to be able to count votes or account for votes. So those are some of the things that, even though you've got electricity and the tech that you can deploy, there's just those underlying things that make it almost impossible for any country, not just us in Africa. If you go to the US, even they don't really do a lot of electronic voting. They do more of postal voting, where you download the electoral forms, fill in, and then post it back to your county or wherever to be counted. So yeah, just having electricity is not enough, I'm afraid.
Right. Thank you very much. Azigode. Hello.
Can I come in?
Yeah.
Okay. Oh, sorry, go ahead. Go ahead, please.
No, I just wanted to find out from you if you had any follow-up to make with regard to the question that Julius has actually unpacked for us.
Mr. Kadri, are you referring to me?
Yes, I'm referring to you. I wanted to find out from you if you have a follow-up to make. In case you don't have a follow-up, I have a follow-up that I wanted to make on that.
Okay, let me interject.
Well,
we don't have
the follow-up would, okay. Who's speaking now?
It's Oge speaking. We don't have the pleasure of time. We need to wrap up so that the attendees can also air their views and ask questions. So if we could also speed up the questions and allow the other speakers to speak, because we don't have time. We have scheduled this for 1.5 hours and we are almost getting to the end. And we don't want our participants to get very
That is
very
understandable.
restless. Yeah, so let's speed up the question. Let's just kind of speed up the questions. Right. And
I actually planned a question for Mr. Sharif. Unfortunately, he's not here, so I would rather shift the question to Mrs. Juliet to find out from her. You know, since 2008, a lot of talks have actually gathered around the subject of RUPAL, Representation of the People's Amendment Bill. The fact that Ghanaians living abroad are yearning and demanding their constitutional right to also participate in the electoral process. What has been happening to, I know the law was passed, but what has become of it? Are we going to have it anytime, in the nearest future for purposes of our election? If you could share some thoughts with us on that.
I think that's what I was alluding to a few minutes ago. I think that the answer is very simple. We don't have both the financial or administrative capacity to make ROPA, as we call it, viable in Ghana. There just isn't enough of that we can reach out to all the 2 million people living across the globe, wherever, Iceland, in places you've never even heard of, Antarctica. We can't make it happen in the way that it's being conceptualized in the laws. So yes, there's the legislative framework for it, but we don't have the financial or administrative agreement that's required for it to happen. But yes, diaspora voting is a salient need in the democratic space, because obviously democracy is about widespread participation. That's what makes an election credible. But Ghana isn't ready for that. We just can't.
Okay. All right. Thank you. I think that Mr. Sharif, just to be fair, because I wanted to hold my questions and give it to Ogi to also handle. But it appears that Mr. Sharif finally has joined us. So I think it's only fair if we could give him some, at least 3 minutes to share his thoughts on the issues we have discussed thus so far.
Okay. Hello. My apologies to everyone again for
we are listening.
So my apologies for the break in transmission. The subject is about technology and how we can leverage same to improve upon our electoral governance. And for me, we have to move the. Hello. So
we are listening.
Have to
continue.
See elections. We have to see elections as an entire process. So if we are talking about technology, how can we use technology to improve upon registration of voters? And what kind of technology can we use? How can we use technology as well for the exhibition of voters, for people to guarantee that having registered, they are found on the electoral roll? And how can we also leverage technology for voting and transmission of results? I think that this is how the discussion ought to center. And for us in Ghana here, we are fortunate that we have tried as much as we can, though there are still some need to improve in using biometric technology as the means to register voters and as the means to vote. I did hear my counterpart from Ghana mention the use of USSD and short codes in verifying voters. I think that that's one thing we have used over the years. Our challenge in Ghana now is how to use technology for votes to be counted and counted properly. And this is where I would throw a little light on some worrying numbers. You would note that right through 2008 till now, we are having an increasing number of voters having their votes rejected because they probably did not cast it well, and that would not stand counted because of the nature of our electoral law. This appears to be a little dangerous because it affects legitimacy And for me, we ought to be running the discussion around how we can leverage e-voting machines in order that every vote will count and that every vote would have a meaning in the electoral space. So I'll give you an example of the last election.
Mr. Sharif.
Yes, please.
Just a quick one, because we are hard pressed with time. I think we'll very much appreciate it if you could just within 1 minute wrap up your first remark so that we could continue, please.
So I'm wrapping up. I'm just showing the issue up there. In the last election, we had over 300,000 voters whose votes could not count because apparently they were rejected. And this number was greater than the cumulative number of all votes of all other political parties except for the two parties. And this means a lot. If you draw 100,000 out of the 300,000 votes for the candidate who came second, it may have changed the face of the verdict. So all I'm drawing at is that the number of rejected votes, it's worrying. And we ought to be able to canvas a discussion around it in order to be able to use technology to fix this problem.
Okay, thank you so very much. We very much appreciate your initial remarks. So, okay, over to you.
Okay, thank you very, very much. Because we are running out of time, I think I would like each of our speakers to, sorry, is there an echo there? I'd like each of our speakers to give us their closing thoughts. I think please, can you mute yourself if you're not speaking? There's an echo in the background. Okay, thank you. So we've all spoken very well, and I think we've gotten so much out on what we're using. And I like how Juliet puts it to say that, well, I mean, look, it's not like we're not using technology. What do we define as technology? So we've all spoken well in pointing out where we are using technology already and what we can do better. So in just a few seconds, in 1 or 2 minutes, if you could just close your thoughts on what you would like our participants to take out of this discussion. Is there hope for free and fair elections in Nigeria, in Ghana? What can we do to make it free and fair using technology? So let me start with Ifoma. What are your closing thoughts on the subject of our conversation today?
Thank you very much once again. So for me, I would say that we give one another an opportunity to actually believe in what it is that we call ourselves to. First and foremost, we're Nigerians. I will speak as a citizen. Each and every one of us, we're Nigerians.
Sorry to cut you, Ifoma. Sorry to cut you. In your answer, could you also, because I see we didn't really tackle that, maybe also briefly touch on diaspora voting for Nigeria and what you think about it, because we know that a lot of our remittances, a large bulk of our remittance in Nigeria, foreign remittances actually come from diasporans living outside. So why should they be excluded from the process when they are enriching the country? If you could also just tie that into your answer as well. Thank you.
So I would say that as Nigerians, one thing that we are very well known for is the fact that we're very hardworking, and when we focus, we actually do achieve. And so I can say that the same way that we have always focused on BVN, for example, if we can use the same focus, the same will, just like Olu talked about, do we have the will? If we want to actually get this right, we can use the same avenue that we have always used. BVN, people in Canada did their BVN. People in US did their BVN. There were places where they could do this, and people got up to go do them. And so talking about people in the diaspora, they can actually vote. The question is, are we willing? Do we really want them to vote? Because if we do, the same energy we put into BVN, we can do the same with people in the diaspora. So I agree, they should be given opportunity to vote. They are first and foremost citizens of this nation. They should be given that opportunity to exercise their power as citizens. Then, Closing in on generally technology. In 2006, under the leadership of Professor Maurice Iwu, as INEC chairman, they actually did what we're talking about today. Everything that we've spoken about today, they did it, and they did it seamlessly. The voting, the transfer of these results, it got to the center in Abuja clearly, and it was done. So it's been done before. The only difference is that with legislation, they didn't actually get all the approvals that were needed because, again, the trust thing. So can we do it? Yes, we can. Can we do it again? Yes, we can. Are we willing? That's where we have a question mark. Let us give one another the opportunity to do that which we want to see, which is change. As Nigerians, let's come together. When someone is voted for, let us believe in that person, give him an opportunity to actually show you what he or she is. Can we not see a different person? Can we not see states? Can we see us, one another, first as Nigerians? Once we're able to do that, I believe we're going to do better, both in technology, both in leadership, both in anything. In fact, we can actually excel if we see ourselves as Nigerians first. That would be my closing remark. Thank you very much.
Thank you very much, Ifoma. So we should see ourselves as one. That was very powerful. Juliet, what are your closing thoughts on what we've talked about today? Very briefly.
Briefly, I think that African democracies are not doing badly at all when it comes to leveraging on technology in elections so that we have credible and strong democracies. I think that, in fact, we've led the way in the 21st century in terms of using tech, and we just need to now start weighing the tech and knowing that the limitations of deployment that are in whichever tech we decide to use, including issues like cyber attacks and cyber threats. And then we now need to start mitigating those sorts of threats so that we can increase efficiency and reduce long-term costs within the electoral cycle. I think that we also need to think carefully and give careful consideration to the needs that we have as people. We talked about people with disabilities. We talked about homebound citizens who, for whatever reason, are bedridden and all that sort of thing. How can we make sure that we're deploying the correct sort of technology for them and doing it in such a way that we are not compromising on transparency, on local ownership, or the sustainability of the overall electoral process? This would be my concern.
Thank you so much. Thank you. That was very good. Mr. Sheriff, are you still on? Could you please confirm if you're still on?
I'm on.
Yes. Can you please give us your closing thoughts on the whole topic that we've talked about today? Very briefly.
So my closing remarks are almost similar to what my sister ended with. Evidence from practice has indicated that we are doing quite well with the use of technology. However, we may have to hasten slowly and be cautious of the kind of technology we use in order that we are mindful of our infrastructure strength, we are mindful of our human resource, and we are mindful of the integrity and trust of the systems. So once we are able to deal with these issues gradually, then we can move aggressively with technology. But as it stands now, I would want us to hasten slowly and move in bits. Gradual movements, as we have been doing, seem to be the way, because there's a lot of mistrust in our electoral system. We still have a lot to do in terms of fixing technology infrastructure. We have challenges with power. We have challenges with manpower. We have a lot of rural communities that cannot catch up with modern technology and technological growth. And once we are dealing with electoral matters and we are talking about universal adult suffrage, we ought to be cautious of what technology we are using and how it is deployed. So in the end, three issues are guaranteed: that our elections are fair, that our elections are free, and our elections are credible, such that we can trust in the value of the elections and we can accept the outcome and processes thereon. So my issue is that technology has been great, it has been phenomenal, at least in the case of Ghana, with the use of biometric technology and throwing away the issues of double voting and all of that. We still have more to do in resource transmission, in e-voting and all of that. But we should hasten slowly and be mindful of the technology of choice and be mindful of our present circumstances. As you may know, even the giants, the almighty United States, in the last two elections, both 2016 and 2020, have had issues with credibility. The Democrats did not trust the credibility of the electoral system because they believe that the Trump campaign had compromised with Russians. And we are all alive to have seen the processes that led into the investigations and all of that. In the just ended elections, particularly in Philadelphia, Georgia, the Republicans also had issues with the way the electoral system was managed. According to them, it was manipulated. So even if the giants are complaining, there are lessons we can draw such that we move with our strength in order that we don't crash our fragile and young democracy. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much, Mr. Sharif. That is well noted. And last, of course, but not least, Mr. Odu, can you give us your closing thoughts on the subject, please?
All right, thank you very much. So I also want to commend the group of SPPG that has organized this platform. It's my delight to be able to share with Ifeoma Okeke and Juliet Amoa. It's made my evening after a delightful football match. I'm not going into details about that. But this is what I would like to say. I think that we must understand critical component of electioneering to our democracy, no matter how young or how old we think it is. All right, if we don't understand that voting is a fundamental human right that every citizen is obliged to exercise, then it makes nonsense of the kind of good governance that we anticipate in Africa. This thing about diaspora voting, for example, I consider it a breach of fundamental human rights for those who live outside of Nigeria not to be allowed to vote. Okay, whether it's been logistics or contingency. I mean, we've been hiding behind the little finger to say that the law does not allow it. I've studied the Electoral Act from back to back, and I see that as long as you are either ordinarily resident in Nigeria or you've been registered in Nigeria to vote, then you are entitled to vote. The way that can be interpreted is to say, while we may not register new voters outside of Nigeria, anybody who had at one time been registered to vote in Nigeria is entitled to participate in elections wherever they may be all over the world. That's my interpretation. I intend to go to court over that, which brings me to my second point. I like it that this group of SPPG is doing this active citizenship participation series, but you would understand that quite a number of citizens cannot connect the dots between their rights to vote, who they choose to elect, and how their destinies are tied to the decisions such people make on their behalf. All right, so if you are not even able to vote, how are you able to realize your fundamental human rights or to attain the heights that you could? So it behoves on those of us in the third sector to be able to conduct widespread electioneering campaign, civic participation, civic obligation, and then support INEC. I round off with this. Do you know that the INEC website for registration has been cloned? And people don't even understand that they are registering on cloned site. It took INEC to come out in the papers to talk about this. Wouldn't it have been different if we all took the responsibility of taking the message to the grassroots, even to the middle class and the language they understand? There's some work that the National Orientation Agency requires to, which we also require to support. So all hands must be on deck to grow our democracy, to attain good governance. We have to tidy up our electioneering with the best complements that there could be. Thank you, everyone.
Wow, thank you so much. You have all spoken very, very well. Thank you all for speaking. At this juncture, I'll hand over to Ms. Isaac to take us through the Q&A for 10, 15 minutes, and then we'll be done. I want to thank you all for your patience thus far. Please bear with us. We started 10 minutes late, and that's why we are a little behind schedule, but we will be rounding up very soon. So please bear with us. If you have questions, Ms. Isaac would be handling or anchoring the question and answer. Ms. Isaac, over to you.
Hello, everyone.
Hi.
Thank you for your patience. I will quickly call on Mr. Umar Adamu. You had a question earlier, so please feel free to ask your question. Thank you.
Good evening to all. And my question and my point is concerning the diaspora votes, and in Ghana we call it ROPA. So my question or my suggestion on it is already there's a diaspora voting, but in the different way. We have a diplomatic persons who are in the mission in the different countries. They vote. And in Ghana, what we call it a special voting. It's a special voting that we did it in Ghana here. So if we are in the mission or you are a military, we vote a week before the election day. So that will be put in a different place before when counting, during the counting of the election. Then the parties will send representative at the electoral commission to count that one to attach to the general election. So though about the diaspora vote or ROPA, as we call it in Ghana, it can be done in the gradual process. But the point here is we have to make sure that the structures are there, as it already be said. We know that in Ghana, we introduce what you call Ghana card, that we make sure that everybody will have it, and it will replace the future voting, voting ID card. But as at now, we are still trying to pile all the IDs and all the national IDs on the Ghana card that can be used for future. So I don't know of Nigeria, but in Ghana, so for now, we are in the process, and we are building something that's within, let me say, by 2-3 election time, we can boast of the diaspora voting or the post voting, because they will use your Ghana card to trace all your information. For now, what is at stake in the Ghana card is they are packing everything that will make it very easy, and they make sure that the digitalization of all the ID can capture any person.
Mr. Umar, please wind up the time. So
okay,
we could give opportunity to others to also make their submission, please.
Okay, I end up.
Okay, Mr. Umar, are you through? Hello, Mr. Umar. I can't hear him, so maybe we can move to Mr. Mohammed Sheriffdin. You have the floor, please.
Well,
you can unmute.
Hello. Mine isn't a question. I want to touch a little bit on what Umar was saying, and that has to do with integrating all the national IDs and using the Ghana card as a means to vote. That sounds novel and sounds good, but it will be a little challenging, and we have to look into the modalities. The reason is that in Ghana, we have only one electoral rule for all elections. So the general elections, district level elections, and public referenda. Now, if you are using the Ghana card as the means to vote, how do you identify a person to a center? So we would have to look at our registration laws to see how we will be able to adjust it such that people will be able to identify with certain polling stations where they are from. For now, the reason why the electoral law or the registration law is carved in a way, it's carved in a manner it is now, is that we don't abuse it, such that people don't register where they ought not to register. So you ought to have been ordinary resident in a place for 5 years, or hail from there, or hail from there to be able to register. And that is a check in order that people don't cross from one constituency or one region onto the other, in order to be able to pad numbers to win elections. So we ought to be very cautious how we move in integrating data and using that as an electoral role, in order that identifying people to a center wouldn't be a problem and wouldn't cause problems going forward. Thank you.
Thank you very much for that. Please, if anyone has any other question, I think we can still sneak one more question past, even though we are already on top of, we started about 10 minutes late. So if you don't, just bear with us. If anyone has any question, please indicate by raising up your hand, your digital hand. And no questions. So, okay, back to you. Thank you very much, everyone. Mr. Kadiri, you have the floor.
Okay. So if is that there's no further question, then I would have the honor of closing the session. So let me also repose the question again. If there's any other question that anyone would want to ask, the floor is open. And then whilst waiting for a question, I think that I saw some few people that I felt it was important, or it's important that they be acknowledged. I noticed that CG Innocent was actually on, and I also noticed that Lawyer Farouk, you've actually joined since the commencement of the program. I noticed Alassane Baba, I noticed Omar Adame and the rest. All those that have joined, I think that we very much appreciate you. Of all the places you could be at this point, you choose to be with us. We very much appreciate that. And I also noticed that Mr. Donatus was also on at a certain point. It appears that he's off. Let me use this opportunity also to thank him so very much for joining. So in case there's any further question to
there's a hand that's up, Mr.
Okay.
Okonna.
Okay, so let's hear him.
Yeah, good day, everybody.
Hey.
You're welcome. Go ahead.
First of all, let me apologize for joining the meeting late seminar. I had a lot of things I was, dealing with. So I'm sorry for joining late. I hope we do this again, in the future. Okay, but what I want to say is that our elections is something that I think we need to engage more people on, because I don't think the youth are taking voting, especially, more seriously as they should, because most people feel the votes don't count. And the e-voting, sorry, I didn't get everything we said before now, so maybe I might be saying something that, have been resolved already. So the e-voting is something that I think there's a whole lot of job to be done, in Africa generally, before we can get to that point, because there's a lot of people that have phones, but they don't even know how to use it. If you've been around some people that have smartphones, you discover they don't even know how to make use of the features in that phone. So when you start bringing in things like e-voting, many people may not be able to understand the way it works. And I believe that a lot of lecture and sensitization should go into, into voting and e-voting prior before it starts. More especially voting right now, because people are not, youths especially, don't really understand the power they have when it comes to voting. So the question I want to be asking is, what exactly are we going to do? Because I believe that people here, people that understand, what election is all about and what voting is all about. So what exactly is, I don't know, maybe the organization, okay, the organization, what exactly are we doing to make sure we drive down the need and importance of voting on the youths, starting from our community? That is my question. Thank you.
Okay.
Thank you very much.
Yes, Isaac, please go ahead.
Okay, so I would call on Mr. Oyeniji to please respond to that question. Thank you.
All right, indeed, your apologies are in order, sir. We had mentioned a couple of things regarding getting more people involved and backing on sensitization campaign. In Nigeria, we have the National Orientation Agency, okay, and we've got the different ministries of information. We have the media, all right. We've got also the third sectors and people like those who have organized this program. We all have the responsibility supporting INEC to be able to deliver on enlightenment campaigns and disseminating information in the language that people understand. While I do agree with you that e-voting may require some high-level education for people to be able to operate devices, there are also tools like USSD that people are already accustomed to. And this could go a long way and it can be used at different levels. My colleague, Madam Amoa, talked about the deployment of USSD in Ghana, something that we've not tried for our electioneering process yet in Nigeria. So right now we use technology at the level of verification and accreditation of voters. I mean, that could go, once we are able to effectively deploy card readers, it could be a level to start. So, and rather than say, we are not saying if voting should be adopted while manual voting should be abandoned. No, they should complement one another as we go dealing with challenges as they come. Thank you very much.
Thank you so much. Mr. Mohammed, are you responding to the same question? Because we need to go. If you're responding,
Yes,
please make it a bit
yeah,
short. Thank you so much, sir.
I'm not responding. I'm drawing a clarity to what my colleague just said. I am not sure my colleague from Ghana mentioned we use USSD for voting. Rather, what we use USSD is a verification of voters on the electoral roll during exhibition, but not USSD for voting. Thank you.
Okay, then we have a question from Facebook. If you'll all just pardon us, it says the question on the mind of a lot of Nigerians is that, can INEC be trusted to ensure a credible process right through to the announcement of the rightful candidate when the time comes? And I'm guessing this has to do with electronic voting. So I would throw that question to Ms. Ifoma, if you can just unmute yourself and kindly answer in a very short time.
Madam Trust.
Well, I believe that INEC can actually be trusted to do their job. We, as the citizens, what we can do best is to make sure that we come out and actually vote and not sit down at home and type through the social media. So let's come out and vote, and they would do their job to transmit the results and give us exactly what it is that we hope to have, or we have voted, basically. And that is why I will go back again to 2006. It was done in 2006. They actually did transmit those results. So if they did it then, in 2006, then obviously they can do it much better in 2023. Because if you look at the gap, a lot has improved. A whole lot has improved. So let's trust that they can do their job, just like they did it earlier. And let us come out and vote and leave the rest to the people that we have chosen to do their job. Thank you.
Thank you very much. And on that note, I would wrap up the question and answer session, the interactive session from the audience, and hand over back to Mr. Kadiri.
Sorry, maybe before we hand over to Mr. Kadri, I think some of us heard Mr. Olu talk about SPPG. So SPPG is a School of Politics, Policy and Governance. And we are part of a group 1, and this is actually part of our capstone project, or it's a component of it. And there's one of our classmates who is also on this call, Mr. Ayodeji Bankole Olushina, who is also very seasoned in his sector, in the finance sector. So I'd just like to invite him as one of our colleagues to say just a very few words in 1 second, if you can, Mr. Ayodeji. Just share your thoughts with our listeners, and then I'll hand over to Kadri to wrap up.
Thank you very much, Oge. I think this is great work happening here. I'm happy to be here. Most importantly, my position remains that we need technology infrastructure to help enhance our electoral system. I think it will also breach the trust issues that we have, or that may arise. Thank you very much for the opportunity to say something. Well done.
Right, thank you very much. Thank you for your time. I think, Kadri, you have the floor to close off. And thank you everyone for coming. We really appreciate your presence and your time.
Okay.
Thank you for having us.
So let me also add my voice in thanking you all so very much for spending your time with us this evening to help us unpack the issues around elections and technology, and how that could actually be leveraged as a force for good within the West African sub-region. I think your contributions and your submissions are very solid. They are valid and then on point, and we very much appreciate that. And it is our hope and prayer that in the very nearest future, in case we stretch another hand of invitation to you to help us, discuss these issues, because more of these kind of programs we intend to organize as time goes on. I believe you would actually be available for us. So my most important appreciation goes to all the discussants, Madam Juliet, and then Isioma Okeke, and Mr. Sharif Al-Hassan, and then our learned senior barrister, Mr. I'm struggling to mention the name. Could you assist me in the pronunciation of the name?
If that is me, then it's just Olu.
You are the one. Okay,
Olu.
so good, Mr. Senior Olu. We thank you so very much. Your perspectives have actually been very insightful. Let me also use this opportunity quickly to acknowledge our friends who actually have been with us from the start of the program. I can see that Dozie has actually been with us, Faiza Sani, Idris Muhammad Madugu, Captain Yakubu, we have Bashir Garba and Taiwo Adewoli, all of you, and then Ogona, and then Mr. Ansel Anako. We very much appreciate all of you, and thank you so very much for being with us. Thank you.
Okay, thank you so much, Kadri. I think at this juncture, it will be a good time to say thank you all so much for coming. And for my classmates at Nigeria Law School Bar 1, I am so sorry. I've seen your presence, and I'm very, very honored that you actually are here today. Anselm and Dawn, thank you all for being here. It means a lot. And all my SPPG classmates and everybody else who took out time. You could be doing anything else, but you are here. You spent your data, you spent your time to learn and to just contribute to governance. So thank you. The chat box has really amazing content, and we will avail the recording. It will be our Facebook Live, will have the video. We'll also avail the recording on our YouTube channel, so you can still catch up and follow up. Thank you all for being here, and have a wonderful night's rest. Goodbye, everyone.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Bye-bye.
Thank you.
Bye.
Good night.
Thank you, everyone.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Thank you, everyone. Good night.
Good night, everyone.
Thank you all for coming.
Good night, everyone.
Okay, how have you been now?
My dear, I've been around. I've been fine. What can I say?
It's nice seeing you again.
Absolutely. Absolutely. I'm trying to stop the live streaming.
Okay.
Yes.
Thanks. Okay, well done. Yeah.
Thank you. Thank you for coming.
It's
I really
Emmanuel.
appreciate it. Oh, Emmanuel, you're sounding foreign like this.
Yes, now I'll be back in town to the country just before we start. So
Wow. Okay, yeah. Please don't come back empty-handed.
Definitely not. We'll chat privately. Tell me what you want.
Okay, awesome.
All right then.
This thing is still live streaming. I'm trying to stop it. I don't even know what I'm doing.
But it has stopped. I see that the recording has stopped. So
yes, the recording, but the live streaming.
Oh, okay.
Yeah. I need to go and stop it. Okay.
Okay.
We'll carry the conversation. Can you just give me your number then we can continue offline?
Yeah. Let me send you a message on Telegram.
Okay, wonderful. Thank you so much.
You're welcome.
All right. Good night. Good night, everyone.
Night.